Okay, let's get right into it. We're about to solve a mystery that drives so many plant owners absolutely crazy. You know that little tag that comes with your plant? The one with those super simple instructions that, somehow, still ends with a sad, wilting plant? Well, we are going to expose the one huge piece of the puzzle that's been missing this whole time.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You bring home a gorgeous new plant, you read the tag, and you do exactly what it says. Give it 6 hours of full sun. So you find the perfect spot, you practically time it with a stopwatch, and still, your plant looks miserable. It's turning yellow, it's getting weak, it's dropping leaves. You're left wondering, what on earth did I do wrong?
Well, here's the problem. The advice on that tag left out the single most important word, intensity. See, 6 hours is not just 6 hours. The gentle, low-angle light you get on a winter afternoon, for your plant, that's like a tiny little snack. But 6 hours of direct, blazing, overhead summer sun, that's a massive, energy-packed feast. The duration is the same, but the energy they deliver, well, they're not even in the same universe. So, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to break down exactly why just counting hours is such a flawed way to think. Then, we'll reveal the secret that the pros use, something called the daily light integral. After that, we'll learn how to use this secret to decode your outdoor garden and your indoor jungle. We'll even figure out how to speak your plant's language. And by the end, you're going to have a totally new way of thinking about light that will give you so much more confidence.
All right, let's dive right into part 1, why hours of sun fails. This is all about understanding the massive difference between how long the light is on and how powerful that light actually is.
Let's use an analogy here because it makes it so clear. Imagine trying to light up a whole room for an hour. Would you use a single candle or a giant spotlight? Of course you'd pick the spotlight. For your plants, it's the exact same idea. Light is their food. It's what fuels photosynthesis. Weak light just doesn't have enough juice to get the job done, no matter how long you leave it on.
So if counting hours is wrong, what's right? Well, that brings us to section 2 and the big secret, the daily light integral, or you'll hear it called DLI. Now, this isn't some vague gardening tip. This is the real deal, the scientific gold standard that commercial growers use to get perfect results every single time. So what in the world is DLI? It's actually pretty simple. It's a measurement of the total amount of light energy, all the little particles of light, that hits your plant over a 24-hour period. And here's the key. It combines both duration and intensity into one single super useful number. It's the whole story, not just half of it. Probably the easiest way to wrap your head around DLI is to think of it like a daily calorie count for your plant. You know, nibbling on a few celery sticks over 6 hours is not the same as eating a full nutritious meal in that same time, right? DLI is what measures the total nutritional value of the light your plant is getting all day long. Okay, section 3. Let's start putting this DLI concept to work in the real world. We're going to decode your outdoor space and figure out what that full sun label on a plant tag is really trying to tell you.
So here are the standard definitions you'll see. Full sun means 6+ hours. Full shade is under 4. But, and this is important, look at the middle. Part sun and part shade are both listed as 3 to 6 hours. So what gives? The difference is all about intensity. A part shade plant needs a break from that super intense, hot afternoon sun, while a part sun plant can usually handle it.
And this is exactly why that plant tag can feel like a lie. Full sun is not a universal constant. 6 hours of sun in Seattle is a totally different dose of energy than 6 hours of sun in Phoenix. Why? Because the sun's intensity changes with your latitude. Same goes for altitude. The higher up you are, the more intense the light. And like we just said, sometimes those labels are really just a warning about heat stress, which comes hand in hand with that high-intensity light.
Now for part 4, let's bring it inside. If you thought light was tricky outdoors, just wait. Indoors, we have to deal with what I call the dramatic drop-off effect, and it is a game changer.
So to really get this, we need a way to measure light intensity in the moment. We're going to use a unit called foot candles, or FC. Just for a baseline, think about this. Direct outdoor sun on a clear day is about 10,000 foot candles. That's our maximum. Now, let's just take one step inside to the absolute best, brightest spot you can find in most homes, right up against a south-facing window. Instantly, the light intensity plummets by 90%. We're down to about 1,000 foot candles. A massive drop already. But here is the part that blows everyone's mind. Move that plant just 5 feet away from that same exact window. The light level can drop again,
all the way down to a measly 200-foot candles. This is why a room can feel bright to our eyes, but for a plant, it's practically a cave. This insane drop-off is the #1 reason indoor plants struggle.
Okay, so how can we use these numbers? This chart basically translates those vague terms into something we can actually measure. That succulent or cactus you have, it needs that very high light zone of 1,000+ foot candles right at the window. A Boston fern, it's happy a few feet back, in that 200 to 500 range. And that classic low-light plant, the snake plant, yeah, it can survive on as little as 75 foot candles. But if you want it to actually grow and thrive, it needs to be in that brighter zone.
Moving on to section 5. The good news is you don't always need a fancy meter because your plants are literally talking to you all the time. We just have to learn their language so we can spot light stress just by looking at them.
Here are the 2 big signs you're looking for. If there's too little light, your plant will stretch and reach for it. We call this legginess. You get these long, weak stems. It'll lean towards the window, new leaves will come in super tiny, and the color will look pale or washed out. Now, on the flip side, too much light is just as bad. You'll see bleached out white or yellow leaves, crispy brown spots, that's literal sunburn, and leaves curling up to protect themselves. Now, here's a quick pro tip for you, because yellowing leaves can also mean a nutrient problem. The key difference is that nutrient issues usually show up in a specific pattern, like only on the new leaves or maybe only on the old leaves. Light stress, on the other hand, tends to affect the whole plant more generally, or it shows up as those really obvious scorch marks where the sun is hitting it the hardest. Okay, let's bring this all home in our final section. It's time to adopt your new light mindset. This is how we're going to go from guessing and hoping for the best to being a confident, intentional plant parent. If there's only one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. Stop thinking in hours. Start thinking in total energy. It's not about the time on the clock. It's about the total DLI, that total calorie count your plant gets every single day. That one shift in thinking changes absolutely everything.
So how do you actually put this into action? It's 3 simple steps. First, measure it. Seriously, download a light meter app for your phone. They work pretty well, and it's a total game changer to see the actual numbers. Second, monitor it. Remember, the sun's path across the sky changes through the seasons. That bright spot in summer could be a dark corner in winter. And third, control it. If you're using grow lights, please put them on a timer. It's the best way to deliver a perfectly consistent dose of energy every single day.
And that's it! You now have the power to actually diagnose and fix your plant's environment. You're not just guessing anymore. So I'll just leave you with this question. Now that you know the real secret is intensity, not just hours, which plant are you going to go save first?